Out there, out west?
Yeah, not much. I traveled to Kansas, Nebraska, and,
Kansas, Nebraska's too flat for me.
yeah, and a little bit of Colorado.
I like the mountains.
Yeah.
Now this, keep this with your stuff. Now that tells you were interviewed today, September 12th, 2001, and you're on tape 26. And this tape is going to be on the shelf at the Portsmouth Public Library. You okay with that?
I have sun-kissed or sweet tea.
Oh, sweet tea.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go the tea route.
You can get it right over here at Lucasville.
No, it'll be in Portsmouth Public Library.
Okay.
Portsmouth
Okay.
Public Library.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you a few names. People call you Dick or Richard or?
Dick.
Okay. You told me your name, Richard Brown, and your date of birth. Where were you born, Dick?
Dry Run.
Okay, that's in Sauter County, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And your present address is 2964 McDermott Pond
Creek
Road.
Right.
And that's McDermott, Ohio.
Right.
And we're also in Sauter County.
Yes, sir.
Are you retired?
Yes,
You are
sir.
retired? What are you retired from? What did you do?
Well, sales, and I started at Williams in '37,
Mm-hmm.
working in the factory.
Okay. Williams has a shoe company, wasn't it?
Right.
And that was in Portsmouth.
In Portsmouth,
Okay.
April 1st, but right after the floodwaters went down in '37.
Did you then retire from the sales business?
No, I went and joined the Navy when I was 22 in 1940,
Mm-hmm.
and spent 6 years in the Navy, and then came back to Williams.
Okay. Did you stay there ever since then?
I worked there until they went out of business in 1976.
Okay. Did you take a retirement then, or did you just move
No.
somewhere else? Or
I was in sales at Williams for 15 years.
Here we go. Look at this. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Feel like I'm at home.
I hope you can feel that way.
Give me a cup, Liz, please.
Okay. Tea?
Yeah,
You like the looks of mine.
but after I come out of the Navy, I came back to Williams, worked in industrial engineering for 7 years, went on the road for 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then they called me back in, and I was director of personnel.
Director of Personnel of Williams?
Yeah.
Okay. After that, what did you do?
When they went out of business, I, for 6 months, I sold World Book.
So what?
World Book?
World, but that's an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's quite a change.
I'll bet. Is that like going door to door?
Door to door, cold call. And,
Cold call, is that what you call it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cold call.
And,
Okay.
and then I sold cars for Oblings for about a year, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Did all right, and then they called me out of Mercy Hospital, who was having union problems out there. An attorney I used to work with in Cincinnati, they got a hold of him, and he said, get Dick Brown. So I went up to the hospital in 78, 79. No, 78. And then I worked there and retired in '83.
What did you do at the hospital?
Personnel director
Personnel also.
and risk manager.
Okay. How much education do you have?
High school.
Okay. And you're married?
Yes, sir.
How many children do you have?
2.
Okay. Now, what's your wife's name?
Elizabeth.
And we've seen her on film here serving us tea and making us feel like kings of the palace. And,
Yeah.
and
She's a dandy.
all
I'll tell
right.
you, on her part, I met her when I was in the 1st grade.
all right. First
Yeah.
grade.
Yes, sir. She was 4 when I was 5.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Weren't too old for her then, were you?
No, but after a while, I wasn't old enough.
She passed you and kept going.
I chased her for 20 years, and I finally caught her in 1943.
Oh, gracious. Well, okay, then let me ask you this question. What was her name again? Elizabeth?
Elizabeth
And what is her maiden name?
Scallinger.
Scallinger.
Schellenger.
Okay. Now what I like to do is kind of get a little genealogical line, and maybe she can help us fill in the gaps here. What were her parents' names?
Frank Scallinger and Tracy Scallinger.
Okay. And now, do you know Frank's parents' names?
Charles Ray Schallinger and Ellen.
Ellen Sally.
Ellen.
Now, what was Ellen's maiden name? Do you know? Now, these would be your grandparents, wouldn't they?
Uh-huh.
Do you know?
Jones, I think.
Jones.
I
Okay.
think so.
Can you go back any further than that, Frank and Ellen?
No, sir. I
Okay.
don't think so.
Now, let me ask you this. Now, what was your mother's maiden name?
Henry.
Henry.
Mhm.
Now, what were her parents' names?
Elizabeth and Samuel Henry.
Okay. What was Elizabeth's maiden name?
Williams.
Okay, Elizabeth Williams. Where was she from? Wasn't Kentucky, was it?
No,
Okay.
someplace around in here, but I
Okay.
don't know just where.
Do you know her parents' names?
No, sir, I
And
don't.
do you know what was her husband's name?
Samuel.
Do you know his parents' names?
No, sir.
Okay.
I
But,
didn't even know him.
okay. You didn't
He
know
died.
there'd be a test, did you?
Pardon?
You didn't know we'd have a test today.
No.
All right, Dick, now what were your parents' names?
Russell Brown, Grace Brown.
Okay. Now, what was Grace's maiden name?
Cook.
Okay. What were her parents' names?
Elsie Cook and
Was
Annie.
Elsie?
Annie Cook.
Okay, Annie Cook.
Yeah,
What was Annie's maiden name?
I don't know.
Okay.
If my son was here, he could tell you.
Does he have a family tree? Does he sketched it all out?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's tell the people on this tape where they could find that tree if they want to. Now, what's your son's name that has the tree?
Keith Brown,
Keith Brown. Okay. Now, what was your father's name?
Russell,
And what was his parents' name?
Jim, and Annie
Okay, what was Annie's maiden name?
Smith.
All right. Now, you have two children,
Yes, sir.
Keith Brown and who else?
Michael.
Michael. And is Keith married?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's his wife's name?
Sandy.
Do they have children?
Yes, sir.
What are their names?
Kyle and Drew.
Are they, how old are they? Do you have great-grandchildren?
No, sir.
Okay. Kyle and Drew Brown.
Right.
Okay.
Kyle's 21 and Drew's 16.
All right. Now, that's Keith's children, right?
Right.
Where does he live?
Washington Courthouse.
Now, what was your other son's name?
Michael.
Is Michael married?
No, sir.
Okay. Does he have children?
Yes, sir.
What is the children's name?
Excuse me. Melissa, the girl, Brown, she's 27.
Okay. Does she have a child?
No, sir.
Okay.
Can't wait. And Reese Brown,
Reese. Okay.
15.
15. Okay. All right. Now, let me ask you this. You were in the Navy, you said.
Yes, sir.
And when did you join the Navy?
October 29th, 1940.
Now, that would be before Pearl Harbor.
Yes, sir.
Why did you join the Navy before the war?
You want to know the truth?
Do you want them to know the truth?
John, I was 22,
Yeah.
drinking, chasing women. Wasn't happy where I was working. I didn't want to stay. I didn't think I'd want to do the rest of my life in a shoe factory
Mhm.
on that conveyor line. I'd wanted to join the Navy when I got out of high school. My parents didn't want me to. And in 1940, when they started the conscription, that gave me the opportunity.
All right.
So I joined.
Oh, and you joined, you say?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, when were you discharged?
October 26th, or 29th, 1946.
What was your rank when you were discharged?
Chief Water Tender.
Okay. Now, where did you go to do your basic training for the Navy? Would that be Great Lakes or?
Great Lake.
Okay, they did a lot there, didn't they?
Yeah.
How long were you there?
6 weeks.
Then what did you do?
I went straight, was shipped out. I tried to get in a lot of service schools and couldn't. They wanted to make a hospital corpsman out of me, and I didn't want that. And so they shipped me out to the fleet, and I went aboard the battleship USS Texas in Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay. What did you do on the Texas?
Well, first place we went was to Guantanamo Bay in January of '41. And I didn't like the top side. I was in the 3rd Division, and I didn't like the holy stoning of the top side.
You didn't like the what?
Holy stoning the wood deck.
Holy stoning the wood deck.
Yeah.
What do you do when you holy stone the wood deck?
You have a stone with a hole in the middle of it, and a stick like a broomstick. You stick that down in there, and you shine the deck.
Does that shine it up?
Yeah.
What kind of wood was that? Teak?
I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there was painting and chipping, and anyway, I didn't like the top side, and I saw they put up a notice they wanted 9 firemen, and I put in for it, and I got sent. They call it the black gang. You couldn't get away with that term today, could you?
I don't know, the black gang. What did you do?
I went down to the boiler room, #1 fire room.
Did you have to go to school for that, or was it like on-the-job training?
On the job.
Now, when you're down there in the boiler room, what did you do? Shovel coal? What was it?
Oil fire.
Oh, was it oil? Okay. And what did you do down there in the boiler room?
As a fireman, you start in by controlling each boiler. There was 2 boilers in each room, fire room. And they had 8 burners. And the firemen, they'd holler 2 burners, 3 burners, 4 burners. And the fireman would run over and cut them in or cut them out.
What's that mean? Turn on the oil or shut off the oil?
Turn on the oil to get more heat.
Okay.
There was 8 burners. And then you graduated from that to taking care of the water in the boiler. You had a glass up there that controlled the water in the boiler.
Is that what you call a water tender?
Right.
That's what you were then?
That's what I was.
Okay.
And then your job was to control that water in that boiler and keep it so that if you had to kick in a lot of heat, it didn't go over.
The water didn't boil over? Or
didn't boil over and go into the steam line.
Okay.
And if you let it get too low, obviously, you burn up your boiler.
Okay, you don't want to do that.
So you had to keep it just at a certain spot.
Where do you get your water from? Is it seawater?
Good question. No, we had evaporators on there, and we made all of our own water.
I see.
The water for the boilers was had to be a little over about 1% salinity.
Okay. And not that much salt in it?
Right.
Okay.
And then the drinking water would go up to 3%.
Okay. Okay. Now, did you like that job?
Yeah.
You stuck with it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, doesn't it get hot down there in the boiler room?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How hot would it get?
Well, if you're underway, see, we were in what they call closed fire rooms. What I mean by closed fire rooms, to go down into the fire room, you had to go through 2 doors. Open one door and close it, then open another, and go down the ladder, and then open another fire room, another door and step out on the gratings. And there's the front of the boilers.
Okay.
And to get air to the boilers, we had blowers that forced the air from the top side into the fire. So we was under a little pressure. And that's how we brought in the oxygen, the air, to mix with the oil.
I see.
And you had to have your air just right, because if you had too much air, you get white smoke. And of course, during the war, you don't want any smoke.
You don't want anybody to see you, I guess. Is that?
And what we were supposed to do is just have enough air so that you had a brown haze coming out of the stack.
Okay.
And we had what we called a smoke watch. Firemen would take turns, or they would assign a smoke watch to go up and climb up the mast, and there was a place up at the top where they'd stand up there for 4 hours and watch the smoke.
Okay.
And they could tell which boiler was smoking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And they would keep us in contact.
How many, did you call them propellers or props? How many of those did you have on that ship?
2 screws.
Screws, you called them?
Yeah.
Neither one. So you had 3 boilers per screw. Is that the way it went?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And were those boilers working all the time? I mean, you wouldn't use one boiler and then switch over to another boiler and switch over. Did you have to keep them all going?
I can tell you're an attorney. You ask good questions.
Well, I just want an education.
When you're underway, we had 6 boilers on the line.
Okay.
When you were in port, you just had 1.
Okay.
And during wartime, which I was in most of the war, in fact all of it, you would separate the steam lines. The port line and the starboard line would be separated. All the steam from the port line would go down to the port engine, and the starboard line would go down to the starboard engine. And the engines on that, John, was just unbelievable. They were reciprocating engines. No turbines, reciprocating.
They had a big gear or something like that,
Yeah,
a big
just,
arm?
just like a the pistons were up and down. The high pressure cylinder was 39 inches in diameter. The low pressure, IP cylinder, intermediate, was 63. And then you had 2 LP cylinders that was 72.
Okay.
And that's what powered the ship.
How fast could that ship go?
I know you was going to ask us.
Well, didn't you study for our test today?
Maximum 17 knots, and we used to say if you had to get out the extra oil can. You had all the 8 burners in and then an oil can.
All right.
To get up
With
to
a little oil can squeak.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now you got on the Texas, where at Norfolk, you said?
Norfolk.
Okay, and went to Guantanamo.
Yeah, that was the first trip.
What did you think about being out on the ocean? Here you are, a country boy, and you're in the Navy now. Now you're out on the ocean. What did you like that?
I loved it. When the ship first moved away from the dock, I never will forget this. At Norfolk, I thought, boy, I'm going to get sick. And it was just moving out. The tug was just pulling us out. See?
Okay.
And I never got sick in the 6 years.
Were you in any storms?
Oh, yeah.
So, and you didn't get sick then either?
No.
Okay. Yeah, and you're out there on the ocean, and you went to Guantanamo. What happened then after, how long were you at Guantanamo?
For a couple of weeks.
Okay. You weren't married then, were you?
No, sir.
Okay.
I was still chasing her.
Yeah, yeah. And, of course, you're in Guantanamo. What does a young unmarried sailor do when he goes on liberty?
Drink.
Okay.
But I didn't go on liberty in Guantanamo.
Where'd you go on liberty?
Back in the States.
All right. At Norfolk?
Yeah.
Now, after Guantanamo, where did you go and what did you do then?
Well, briefly, John, after Guantanamo, we come back, and shortly after that, and I can't give you the exact month, but the talk on the ship was that if war came, and you know, it was heating up in Europe then,
Yeah.
that the Texas being an old ship, her keel was laid in 1912, I believe, or 14, that we wouldn't be anything but a training ship.
Mm.
And, but the next duty we had was, they called it North Atlantic Patrol.
Mm-hmm.
And we patrolled with destroyers and cruisers,
Mm-hmm.
the North Atlantic. And I didn't realize it until our son Michael, after the war, gave me a book to read, and I was sitting here reading it one time, and it was written by a German U-boat commander. And he was talking about tracking the USS Texas off the coast of Scotland
Mm.
for 3 days.
Is that right?
And he couldn't get permission to fire on us because we weren't at war, see, but we were out of the area where we should have been.
Mm-hmm.
And that
You
gave
made a big juicy target, though. I bet.
Yeah. So we did North Atlantic patrol duty until Pearl Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in Portland, Maine, December the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And,
When that happened and you learned about it?
Yes, sir.
Well, tell me about that. December the 7th, you're in Portland, Maine, and what were you doing when you heard about that?
Well, we just got in there, if I remember correctly, and dropped the hook, and hook is the anchor.
Okay, I was going to ask you that.
I knew you were. And we were about 7 or 8 miles out. And you had to go in a motor launch. And it was Sunday morning when we learned about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't planned on going ashore. But after that, I thought, well, I better go ashore. This might be the last time I ever get ashore.
Well, did you learn about it when you were on ship or in the motor launch or when you hit?
Aboard ship.
Oh,
before
okay.
I went, yeah.
Okay.
So
So somebody had to radio out to the ship
yeah,
that we were at war, had been attacked, and then it got around the ship.
yeah, real
Okay.
quick.
Who told you? You remember?
Don't
who-
remember.
Okay.
I think, well, I know it was announced over the loudspeaker,
Oh, I see. Okay.
so it all hands.
Was there a feeling then that this is it, we're in it, and what did you think though when that happened, when you heard that?
I don't know exactly. It was at that age. I was just sort of, well, here it is. You know, when I went in, I had a feeling that we was going to go to war,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just
How old were you?
22 when I went in.
You were one of the old guys, weren't you?
Well, yeah. When I went in, most of them were 17 and 18.
Right.
I was the old man.
They call you old man?
Once in a while.
All right.
uh,
Well, now after you land in Portland, you go ashore in Portland.
Yeah.
What happened then? What did you do in Portland?
well, you just go over and eat.
Drink?
Beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you chase any women in Portland?
Always looking.
Oh, goodness. Well, now after that, you're at war, we're at war, and what happened? You go back to the ship. Did you go to Pearl Harbor, or
No.
did you ever go in the Pacific?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well,
Well, I don't want to get ahead of the story. What happened after you went back to the ship?
after the, I don't remember exactly what happened after the ship, but basically after the war was declared, we started on convoy duty
Mm-hmm.
and did convoy duty. And then the first action we saw was in '42, the African invasion.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the biggest fleets I've ever been around,
Really?
going over to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
You could just look for miles and miles, and ships every place. all types.
That was your first campaign, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you, I think you fired the weapons then, didn't you? To support the landing or
No,
not?
we didn't.
You did not,
We went
okay.
over, we were over to,
Maybe that was D-Day or something.
yeah, to Haughty, right above Casablanca is where we went in.
Mhm.
But the landing was simple there. There was no
okay.
opposition. The
Okay.
Beachy French were in control, really.
Did you ever go ashore in Africa?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You know what I remember about Africa?
Nope.
The great big oranges with skins on them, rinds on them about, I'm exaggerating probably, but it seemed to me like they was a quarter of an inch thick.
Pretty thick, man.
Good, yeah.
Did it taste good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But, and then we came back from that invasion, and I got out of the fire room then, and I was in what they call the oil gang. Oil King.
The oil what?
Oil King.
Oil?
Took care of the oil aboard ship.
The oil gang?
Yeah.
Okay.
They called them Oil Kings, and
Oil kings.
yeah, we had 1,496,000 gallons of oil aboard this ship.
How long would that keep you going before you had to go back and get more?
Well, you still asked the right question.
Well, I just wondered.
Because when we went to Africa, the battleship, we fueled what we call tin cans or destroyers. They'd come alongside, and we'd pump oil over to them.
Some of your oil you would pump
Yeah.
to them so they could keep. Okay.
And we didn't refuel. We went all the way to Africa and was over there, I can't remember exactly, a couple of weeks, I guess, and then returned. And man, I was responsible for finding the oil on there to get us back.
Oh?
And we was the lowest on oil, I guess, that we ever had. We pumped oil out of tanks that I was almost afraid to tap into, because an old ship, and sometimes the tanks would get water in them. The water would be the first one you'd pull out, you know.
I see. Yeah.
But we made it back to Norfolk, and
Did you after Norfolk then? Was it Texas and Sicily and Italy in that area?
well, after Norfolk, incidentally, I get emotional here. I had a brother, three years younger than me, joined the Navy after I did. And before we went to Africa, he came to Norfolk and was on a destroyer. And he and I went to see the movie, This Gun for Hire. And we was going to get, our liberty was up at 12 o'clock at night. And he came back to the ship with me, and he wanted some, what they call salty dungarees.
Salty?
Dungarees, you know, dungarees that have been worn and moist and getting a little white.
Okay.
And he came aboard with me, and I gave him a couple pair, and then he left. And he got killed about a month after that.
How did that happen? You don't have to say if you don't want to.
And when we got back from Africa, sailors and servicemen always, the mail bag is the important thing.
Right.
And I opened a letter, of course, from her first, and she said something about Merrill. And I want Mom.
Well, that's when you learned then. Well, that must have been hard to take then.
He was in just 3 months,
Yeah.
and another tin can, another destroyer rammed him off of the Cape May, New Jersey.
That's how it happened.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway, after that, then we came back and went back on convoy duty. And then we went to Scotland and stayed there until we was getting ready for D-Day.
Yeah. Now was the ship was the Texas in Sicily campaign? Sicily?
Yeah.
Was it at Sicily? You know what I mean?
No, we weren't. We
Okay.
were at Sicily, but we weren't. We were there afterwards.
After that campaign,
Yeah.
okay. How many campaign stars do you have?
Let's see. D-Day, Africa, Okinawa, and Iwo Jima.
Okay,
Got in on the tail end of the Philippines.
okay. But while you're in Scotland, you're getting ready for it.
Yeah.
Did you go ashore in Scotland?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you drink any?
Yes, sir.
Chase any women?
No, sir.
Okay. I must be getting serious now about
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah. No, it didn't. We just went over there to eat fish and chips and drink beer. Warm beer.
Warm beer.
Mhm.
Well, was that at a place called Inverness? Where were you in Scotland?
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. Okay. Now, so you steamed down for D-Day. What was that like?
Well, we just steamed down around to England, off the coast of England, and laid around there until the fleet, all the ships got around together. And then the day that we were supposed to go in, it got rough.
Storm-wise.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
The water was too rough. And General Eisenhower came aboard.
Did you see him?
Yeah.
Okay.
He came aboard, and we were all lined up on the top side, and he came around and spoke a few words of encouragement. And
How close were you to him?
he walked right by me. And then the next day, it said it was on. And we knew that the invasion was coming, but we didn't have no idea of how big it was. It just, well, you just did what you was told. But we started out during the night and was going across the channel. I never will forget this, because the executive officer come on the loudspeaker and says they'd swept the channel, the minesweepers had swept the channels, and each ship had a certain lane it was supposed to stay in. In some way we got out of our lane and we had to cross uncharted waters to get back in the lane we was in.
Didn't hit a mine, did you?
No, but you can rest assured it was quiet.
Yeah, it was.
All over the ship until he said we was in the right lane.
Okay.
Anyway, went back and got there just before daybreak and anchored about, a couple hundred yards off the Omaha beach.
Okay.
And of course they had all the planes coming over and the paratroopers. At dawn we started
Okay,
firing.
thanks a lot.
You're very welcome.
You started firing around dawn, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had 5 turrets, 2 guns in each turret, 14-inch guns. And we was firing broadside. And when you fire broadside, they say that ship moves about 3 foot.
Did it rock on you and
No, not
just
really.
moved, huh?
Yeah, and you can't really tell that it moved. But
Were you up? You must have been. Were you down in the boiler room?
oh
when
yeah,
they-
I was
you were
down
shooting?
below. Yeah.
When they shoot those guns, can you hear them down there?
Oh yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is that the first time you'd shot the guns?
No, we shot those down in Guantanamo.
Okay,
Practice.
for practice?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we just fired away, and then
I think you need some more ice, don't you?
Well, I'll take another, cube there or two. Yeah, thank
I
you.
had a chance to slip up the top side to see what was going on,
Uh-huh.
and I could see the beach and see, I'll never forget those poor fellows hitting that beach, and some of them cruising around our ship waiting for their turn to go in, landing craft full of men, and you could see the machine gun. We were that close that you could see the machine gun pellets in the sand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you could see we was right at Point to Hoe, and there was a ditch, or a drainage ditch, or gully, better description, I guess, went up to the right of where they landed. But I got a view of all of that, and the Point to Hoe is where the Rangers went up by ropes. Never could understand how they did that, but they
Did you see them doing that?
No, no. But they brought.
Thank you.
Yeah, well,
They brought a lot of wounded back to the ship that day.
To the Texas?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And but we were there, and you could hear the buzz bombs at night. You could see them going over from Germany over to England, lit up. And we were there, I guess, about a week until we got inside.
Well, you were there about a week, and then where did you go then? When do you end up in the Pacific?
Well, after D-Day, and I guess it was about a week or maybe 2 weeks, I'm not sure. Then the Army was coming in on Cherbourg, a town south of us in France. And we were one of the ships to go down and go in and bombard Cherbourg from the sea, and the Army was coming in from on the ground. And we went in there, I never will forget it, John. It was a beautiful Sunday. I went up on the top side to look around. Sailors was laying around with their guns, and everybody relaxed. Some of them taking a sun bath. And then I went back down when we got into the bay. When we got to the mouth of the bay and started in, I went back down in the fire room, and all at once the Germans started shooting, and we had 17 straddles. A straddle is considered a shell that hits just before it gets to the ship or goes over and hits on the other side of the ship. We had 17 straddles and 2 hits. And the hit that did us the damage was hit on the number 2 turret and ricocheted up under the bridge and killed the helmsman and wounded 3 others pretty seriously. And another shell came in above the armor plate into officer country and didn't explode. And one of my men I was chief at the time, and there was an engineering officer with me, and the boy on the phone says, "Chief," he said, "they just called down, they got a shell up in the officer's country, and they want Lieutenant Ford to come up there and check it." Lieutenant Ford was a reserve, but he had gone to detonation school.
What was it? Demolition or
demolition
Okay.
school. And
He's supposed to have been the expert then.
yeah, he was the only expert aboard ship. and the lieutenant said, "Chief, I don't know a damn thing." But anyway, he went up and he came back, and I said, "What did you do?" He said, "We just got all the mattresses and rugs and everything we could and rolled around it so it wouldn't move." So, and we fired back, of course, there.
Well, did they throw it overboard or just keep it immobile?
We kept it there. And we went out of there firing dead astern. And that's really hard on a ship when you fire dead astern or forward. And
Why is that?
it can't move sideways. There's no give.
I see.
And so it just shakes and rattles. We had, I can't tell you exactly what damage we had, but we had quite a bit. And, but anyway, we went back into Portsmouth, England. The next day they called a squad out from the Army that took the shell aboard, off the ship.
Okay. Okay. Well, then, did you go back to France any?
No, we were through there. We went from there down to southern France for the invasion of southern France.
They had another invasion called Anvil, wasn't there, something like that? Yeah. Did you support that with fire, live fire?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was no comparison to Omaha Beach or D-Day. It was just pretty easy. We came back from.
Did you go ashore in southern France?
No. No. After that is when we went up to Sicily for liberty. Liberty up there meant going over and getting a good dinner from some of those Italians or Sicilians.
I know how to cook, huh?
Oh yeah, there'd be kids out on the street get you to take you up to their mother's house.
Oh really?
Yeah. Really.
Oh man.
Big tenement houses. And drink their wine and eat, and that was the extent of liberty there.
Really?
Yeah. And then we came back to the States, and we had a lot of repairs to done, and we went into Brooklyn Navy Yard. It was going to be in there 30 days, and that's when I called Libby.
Well, that would be in 1944, wouldn't it?
43.
Yeah, no, well, D-Day was in 44.
That's right.
Yeah.
We got married before we went to. We were married.
We were married in 43.
Yeah. Married in 43.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, we came back to New York, and Lib had stayed in New York with a friend of hers. There was another chief's wife. And then we left Brooklyn Navy Yard. I was interested yesterday to talk about Fulton Street and 14th Street, and that's where we used to come down and get off the subway to go to the ship.
Is that right?
Pier 92, yeah.
Oh, what was it called? 14th Street and what?
Fulton.
Fulton and 14th
Yeah.
Street. Yeah. Is that where the Twin Towers were? Or
in that area?
In that area. Yeah. Well, anybody on this? Yesterday there was a bombing or a catastrophe in Manhattan, New York, where planes flew into what they called the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
Great loss of life yesterday.
Well, it was in that area where when you come down, the Brooklyn Navy Yard was there, at the end of Manhattan.
Yeah. And that's 1943 and 44 in that area.
Yeah.
Okay.
44.
Okay. Well, then after you were there, what happened? You go through the Panama Canal?
Went through the Panama Canal. Headed for the Pacific.
What's that Panama Canal like?
Pretty narrow.
You could just step off the ship onto land.
Oh yeah, yeah. When you go through, I forget the width of it, but I know the Texas didn't have much room. You could step off. But before you go through the canal, there's a lake there, freshwater lake, that you stay in for a day or two to get the barnacles off.
Oh, I see.
And then we went through the canal, and from there we went to
go to Pearl Harbor?
Pearl Harbor.
When you got to Pearl Harbor by that time, was there still a lot of wreckage there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And then from Pearl Harbor we went out to the Philippines, Lady Gulf.
Did you have liberty at Pearl Harbor? Did they let you off the ship?
No.
Okay.
We just stopped there long enough to refuel and get some.
Were you in the Battle of Lady Gulf?
No. We got there, the Philippines was secure.
Okay.
And we stayed in Lady Gulf until the next invasion or battle we were in was Iwo Jima. And, I never will forget, I saw the Marines hit the beach. We went in, was in there about 3 days before the invasion, and we sent our scout plane over, which was a biplane that we kept aboard ship, and catapulted them off, and he went over and flew around for observation, and came back, and then the invasion started.
Mm-hmm.
And I went up top side, and I could see the Marines hitting. I never will forget that. I was glad I was in the Navy. I saw the flag when it was raised at Mount Sarah.
Did you actually see the flag?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now there were 2 flags. Did you saw the first one?
All I know, I can't tell you whether it was the first one or the second one.
All right.
I just saw the flag. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
I read the book, The Faith of Our Fathers, and
uh-huh.
that was some book, and it sure was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Had all the details of that.
Did when you saw that, what did that feel like?
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I tell you.
Did you hear the yell go up? I understand when the flag went up, there was a great cheer.
No,
Okay.
we weren't close enough for that.
Okay.
There was cheers aboard ship.
Uh-huh.
And I guess it's analogous, John, to if you're in battle, if you're not shooting, it's an eerie feeling. If your ship's not firing, you know, if there's an air raid, and which there were there a lot, and they tell us that the planes overhead, and you wasn't shooting, it was an eerie feeling. You didn't feel good. But when you started shooting, and your gun started firing, man, it was a big relief. You know.
Felt good then.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, real good.
Okay.
And that's what it felt
Doing
like.
your share, maybe.
Well, that's what it felt like when we saw the flag go up.
Oh yeah.
You know, we were making progress.
Hmm. Were you there a long time at Iwo Jima?
About a month.
About a month. It took a while to take that island.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's where Ernie Powell was killed.
Yeah, that's what I understand. Then, of course, then came Okinawa.
Right.
You know? Did you go from Iwo Jima directly to Okinawa or back to the Philippines?
No, we went back to Mogbog.
What was it? Mogbog.
Mogbog, M-O-G. M-O-G, Mogbog, an island out there in the Pacific. Between Iwo Jima and the Philippines.
Okay, Mogbog.
And that was an island where we went back and they had tankers there to fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And vessels that you could get food.
And then comes Okinawa, let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. How long were you there at Okinawa?
About a month.
And that was pretty long duty. What you supported there, didn't you, with fire?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Did you see that landing?
Yes, sir. But it wasn't like Iwo Jima was the worst to me.
Mm-hmm.
But we were in Okinawa about a month, and
You've seen you saw the landing in Africa.
mm-hmm.
You saw the landing at D-Day.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the landing in southern France?
Mm-hmm.
Saw the landing in the Iwo Jima.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the landing in Okinawa.
Right. Yeah.
So 5 famous landings there.
Yeah. We were. I started to say we were at Okinawa. It lasted about 30 days, about a month, and we were at general quarters. That's where you go to the fire room if that's your station, or wherever your station is, and you stay there 24 hours a day. And you eat there, you just stay there. There was 12 battleships at Okinawa, plus cruisers and destroyers. And that's when the kamikazes started coming.
Oh yes.
and we were the only battleship. The other battleships, we could hear them secure from general quarters, and we were fussing, and the old man, and he kept us at general quarters, but we were the only ship that didn't get a kamikaze.
The only one.
Yeah, we shot down one.
Mm-hmm.
They said they was wanting to die, but I can still see that one coming up.
Were you up at top side to see the
I
kamikaze?
saw that, yes, I did. And his eyes were big, and he was glad to get aboard ship.
What do you mean?
He was tickled to death he didn't get killed.
You shot down a kamikaze.
Yeah, coming
and
at it.
captured the pilot.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. And he was glad to get aboard ship, I'll tell you.
What'd you do with him?
I can't tell you. They turned him over someplace afterwards.
Throw him back in?
No, they didn't throw him back in.
Well, that was interesting. Then, well, we're pretty close to the end of the war here, but they took atomic bomb. Where were you when you heard about the atomic bomb?
Lady Gulf. We went back from Okinawa to Lady Gulf,
Mm-hmm.
and we were practicing then. The next invasion we knew was going to be Japan. And that's what the fleet, Fifth Fleet, was getting ready for.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on maneuvers, but our base was Lady Gulf. And that's where I was when our oldest son was born, and I got the telegram.
Mm-hmm.
And he was born June the 15th, and of 45. And then the bomb was dropped in August, 45,
Mm-hmm.
Hiroshima. Man, well, we were tickled to death.
I'll bet.
Yeah, so,
Well, after that, then did you go to Japan?
no.
They didn't take the Texas into the Tokyo
No.
or anything.
We came back to Pearl Harbor from Lady Gulf and went ashore, and I never will forget this. I never. We went ashore. The chiefs had a chief's quarters over there, and they had a band, and I can't describe in words how good it felt to sit there, and the more you drink, the better you felt, and listen to that band play.
Was it like a swing band or that sort of thing? Popular music at that time?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
orchestra band.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then we'd take up money and throw it in a hat and name the tune you wanted to play. But that was one of the greatest feelings I guess I ever had until we got home to see Libby.
Well, when did you get home?
Well, we ran back and forth between Long Beach, California, and Pearl Harbor. And I can't tell you how many trips we made, just ferrying soldiers back to the States.
Oh, okay. Taking the guys back home?
Yeah. And then we came back through the canal.
When you got to Long Beach, when the soldiers would disembark, is that where you
Right.
took them to?
Yeah.
Were you there when they were getting off the ship and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Very emotional time for them?
Yeah. Yes, it was. And then we had civilians come aboard ship and visit and socialize.
Mm-hmm.
No drinking, of course.
Any civilian or the big shots or what?
Just plain civilians.
Just folks, huh?
Yeah, just
Okay.
folks. And then we left Long Beach and came back through the canal up to Norfolk, Virginia. And then I got a leave and came home, and our oldest boy was 8 months old.
Hmm.
You know what the first thing I did to him?
I don't know.
Burn him with a cigarette.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You're so happy to see him, you grabbed him.
And I had the cigarette in my mouth.
Has he ever gotten over that?
He finally did. But I don't think my mother-in-law and my wife ever did.
Throw it up in your face all the time.
Anyway, after that, then,
Was he scared of you at first?
no, I don't think so.
Okay. Just cried after the
Yeah.
cigarette. Okay.
Then Lib and I came back after my 30-day leave was over,
You went back to Norfolk with her?
With her and the boy, yeah.
Okay. Now, when you got off and you came, did you come over here then with your 30-day leave to Sauter County?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where were they staying?
At her mother's here in McDermott.
In McDermott?
Yeah.
At her mother's, okay. Did she know you were coming?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did she know the exact time you were coming, or was it a surprise when you got there?
No, she knew about what time, didn't you, Lou?
Mhm.
Well, I'd written her and told her about when.
Came on the train,
Oh, yeah.
didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you get off the train at McDermott?
Yes, sir.
So she was there at the train station?
I don't know whether I got off at McDermott. I don't know. The first time I remember seeing her and the boy was when I walked in the house. I don't know how I got there. Do you live?
No, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Did he get off the train at McDermott, or was it
I
over
don't
in
think
Portsmouth?
so. I think he got off at Portsmouth.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, then you would have had to have gotten a ride over here.
Yeah, I don't know how I got out.
I
wouldn't-
don't remember neither.
Probably thumbed out.
Wouldn't take you long to get a ride, they pick up a sailor
Yeah,
pretty quick,
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah, I thumbed a lot.
they? So she did not know the exact moment you were gonna walk through the door?
No, she knew about it, though.
Okay. Well, how long did you had a 30-day leave?
Mhm.
And when that's over, she goes back with you to Norfolk? Okay.
We stayed and got a room and
Would that put you up around Christmas time? Thanksgiving time? Somewhere in there?
no. No, I got out that year.
In 46? 45 or 46?
46.
Okay.
And so it was in the late summer, I guess, when we come home.
I see.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was in
March.
it was cold weather.
Yeah, we took a ride and Mike got a cold, remember?
Yes.
So it was in March when I came back. And then
What kind of car did you have?
I didn't have any. Libby had a Plymouth.
Plymouth Coupe.
Plymouth Coupe? What year was it?
I don't remember.
Did you buy it with your,
Mhm.
did you own it? You bought it with your own money?
Yes.
Where did you work?
I worked at Williams.
You worked
Shoe
at Williams too?
company. Uh-huh.
Okay, during the war, did you work there all the time?
No. After I was married, I didn't work.
Okay.
Uh,
Would he send you home money
Mhm.
from the Navy?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And, but then, you got out in 46. When was your discharge? I think you said October, wasn't it?
Yeah, I got out. I'd accumulated 90 days leave.
Oh, okay.
So I got out before October 29th, 3 months. Whoa,
Okay. Did you like the Navy?
loved it.
Did you want to stay in?
They called me a planky. You know, I made chief in 3 years.
Called
and
you a
half.
what?
A planky.
What is that?
That's part of the ship.
A plank is, but why would they call you a plank?
Because I was going to stay on there the rest with the ship.
All right.
And because I had it better, John, than I ever had it in my life. You know, I was making more money and lived, enjoyed it. We was on the East Coast.
Did you like that?
I liked
Lifestyle?
living on the coast.
Did you? It was okay with you that he was in the Navy?
Yes.
Okay.
I was
We
disappointed
moved.
when he came out.
Oh, we were.
We went from Norfolk to Baltimore. And I took some of our belongings up on the ship to Baltimore, and then her and my other friend's wife and her came to Baltimore. We got an apartment up there, and we'd have a ball. A lot of space food.
Well, okay, then the question is, why did you get out?
That's a good question, John.
Why did he get out?
I
He'll
tell you.
tell you why.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
Here it comes. But do you want them to know?
Sure.
Okay.
I had tonsillitis. I've had problem with my tonsils all my life. And I went over to Annapolis They took my tonsils out. I was in there, back then they kept me in, I was almost 2 weeks in there with my tonsils.
Hmm.
Today, it's a one-day operation, you know. But while I was in there, I got acquainted with another chief. And he had 22 years in. And I said, Chief, what in the world are you still doing in the Navy? Because 20 years you could retire with a pretty good, decent pension. And he said, I got a boy in high school and a girl in college. And I can't afford it. Don't know what I'd do on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So the wheels started going around in my head right then, and I thought, well, I better get out of here and start my way of life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason I made my mind up just like that,
Okay.
and went back aboard ship and went to Bainbridge, Maryland, shortly after that, and was discharged.
You were mustered out or discharged in Bainbridge, Maryland?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I joined the reserve.
Did you? Was that the Portsmouth Reserves? Or?
Yeah. It was one of the first units here in Portsmouth.
How long were you with that?
4 years. And the reason I did was sort of, I didn't know what civilian life was going to do. Like I said, I was making more money than I ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing good. So I thought, well, I'll just join the reserves and keep my rate. And if I want to come back in, you know, I'll have that time.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever go back in?
No, and you ask another good question. We were coming back from Michigan in 1950 when the Korean War started.
Mm-hmm.
And my time in the 4 years was just about up. In fact, it was up in October of 53. Anyway, I came back, and we go to the meetings every Monday night, and every Monday night I'd go in there and they'd call this one and that one going back. And one day at the office, the commander called me and said, say, Chief, he said, you know your time's up? And I thought, John, that during the war, reserves had to stay in for the duration.
Mm-hmm.
I was a reserve, and I thought, well, I'll be in for the duration. And I said, yes, sir, I know my time's up, but he said, well, don't you think you ought to stop over today and sign up again? And I said, well, the wheels started going around. I said, well, what if I don't? He said, well, you lose your rate, rank, and time and service. If you ever go back in, you'll have to start all over. I said, well, let me lose it.
And that was that.
It's Chuck.
Yes, sir. Okay, Chuck. Yeah, well, I'm being interviewed right now, but so doggone it, I don't have time. Okay, fine. All right. Bye.
Is that your son?
No, that was
Friend?
a friend.
Clark Breck.
What was it?
Clark Breck.
Oh, okay. Well, we better get out of here then.
No.
No.
Okay. Well, that's the end of the Navy, though. Pretty much at the end of the story, too, aren't we? Don't they have the Texas somewhere down in Texas? Is it the
Yes.
battleship? You ever been down there?
Yes.
The year I retired in '83. You asked the right question, John.
All right.
Liv and I drove down to Texas. Drove up to that park where it is.
Where is it? Galveston? Where is the Texas there?
Galveston.
Is it?
Yeah. And we pulled up and stopped in this parking lot. And just before we got to the ship, Liv said, how do you think you'll feel? And I said, I don't know. I have no idea. And we pulled up, and I looked up that bow, careful, I'll get choked up again. I looked up at that bow, 35. It was BB 35 was the number of the ship. They had the BB off, but 35 was still on there. And John and I got so choked up that I couldn't talk. Because it just seemed like the whole thing. See, I'm getting choked up now. It just seemed like the whole war, the whole happening, just rushed back. Deb and I went aboard, and there was some young fellow on there. Well, there was a lot of people on there, but this young fellow found out I had been aboard the ship, and he followed me around, Deb and I. And we went all over where we could go.
Did they let you go down into the boiler room?
No, not at that time. You couldn't get down there. But 3 or 4 years later, I went back to a reunion and got to go down. But we was on there 4 or 5 hours. It didn't seem like any time.
That boy follow you around? Was it just wanted to know the history and your experiences
yeah,
there?
this, you know, he said,
That phone is...
you got,
Oh, I left it.
you left it off in there. I remember when he came up to me, we was looking at the dental office. The dentist chair was still there. And I was telling Liv some experiences I'd had in that dental chair. And that's when he came up to me and realized I'd been aboard ship, and he stayed with us. But that was really a
emotional time, wasn't it?
oh yeah, it sure was. It really was.
And when you went back about 3 or 4 years later, you say, you'd see some of your fellow sailors?
Yeah. They had, I kept looking for reunions, and I saw it in I forget, some magazine where the Texas was having a reunion over in Pennsylvania, and Liv and I went over. And met. See, you have to remember there's about 12 or 1300 men on that ship.
Mm-hmm.
I was in one division, and I saw 3 fellows that I knew. And they were all younger than me. And of course, you always remember the ones older than you. You never remember the ones younger.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really a thrill to go back and see some of them and hear their story.
Have you kept in contact with any of them since then, or?
One chief in Texas I've kept in contact with, called frequently.
Okay.
But that's the only chief.
Now, he was on the ship at the same time you were?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you belong to any veterans organizations when you got out?
No.
Did you, well, you saw Eisenhower. Did you see anyone else famous during that time, like Halsey or any of those guys? What'd you do with your uniform?
Going back to men I saw was Admiral King.
Admiral King, yeah. He's in the history book.
He was our admiral when I went aboard ship in 1940.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
My uniform, I don't know. Just,
I don't know either. I don't know.
Not in the attic somewhere?
No, I don't know what I did with it.
I can tell you this, I was proud to wear it, you know, when I came back.
Where's all your ribbons then, on the uniform? You have several, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. I saw some ribbons when I got my discharge paper out. The ribbons are in there, yeah.
Well, Dick, do you have anything else you want to talk about? You got any tattoos you want to talk about?
No, never.
What?
Never wanted to.
You were in the Navy for 6 years, you don't have a tattoo?
That's exactly right. I never, and most of them did.
That line was too long, or?
No, never got one. No. I never wanted one. Well, I can tell you this, you know, joining the Navy, and of course there's times during the Navy, I was in the Navy when I didn't enjoy it. I can honestly say that, because when you're in harm's way, it's not interesting. But it was one of the best moves I ever made, because it changed my life around.
Did it?
Sure did.
In what way?
Well, I just, the most way it changed was if you get, I guess I never went to college, but it must be like going to college. In as much as you get out and mix with people you don't know, and you measure your strengths with their strengths. And like I said, I made chief in 3 years and a half, simply by studying and being the type of person I was, and it just grew me up. And
Stop drinking and chasing women.
I tried. I got married. Yeah.
I got married and settled down.
Yeah, that's right. But it was a good move, wasn't it, Liv?
Yes, it was.
I don't know how much more time we have on the tape. I always want to shake hands and say thanks for everything you did.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, we'll have a little more time here maybe, but I know you've just about, when that light goes out, we don't have any more tape left. And now here's the lady of your dreams, right?
Right.
And this is the lady we call Lib, right?
My.
And we've got some pictures on the wall here.
Yes.
Now who, let's see. There's a young man up there. Who's that? The fellow right there.
Oh, that's our oldest grandson, Kyle.
Okay.
Brown.
Kyle Brown. Now what does Kyle do? What does he do? Is he in college?
He's a junior at Ohio State this
Mhm.
year.
What's he majoring in?
Communication.
All right. And
He's a baseball. He's a pitcher.
for the Ohio State team?
Yeah.
Great. Does he have any dreams of, you know, going on to the majors or anything?
I don't think he has.
Just likes to play.
He's quite an athlete, but
Uh-huh.
what he
Get
got
this
into,
down.
John, was
ESPN.
ESPN when he was a senior. When he
Uh-huh.
graduated from high school, he got connected with ESPN.
That's the sports TV network, isn't it?
Right. And he's
Okay.
been working for them ever since.
Who are these people here?
That's our younger son and his family.
wife.
That's an old picture.
Okay. What is his name? Forgot.
Keith.
Keith. Okay. And here's somebody I'm just going to put in front of me.
That's our granddaughter,
Okay.
married
What's her name?
Melissa Brown
Oh yeah.
Banks.
Yeah, Melissa Brown. Where does she?
She teaches at East.
What does Keith do?
He's a assistant superintendent of schools. He'll be superintendent in January.
Where?
Washington Courthouse.
Now, here's a young man over here.
That's Drew, his other son.
Drew. He looks like he's in high school. What does he do?
He's a junior in high school, and he's a music 6'4", but he's not an athlete.
He likes the music stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
Dramatics.
there isn't.
And now here is a young man in baseball. Does that happen to be the same?
That's the same one.
Yeah.
Okay. What uniform is that there?
Ohio State.
Oh yeah. Here's a beautiful young lady up here. Who's that?
That's
Melissa.
the girl.
Is that the one that got married over there in the picture?
Yeah.
Melissa.
Now, she teaches, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. We're
Science teacher at East.
at East. Yeah.
And guidance counselor.
Her name is what?
Melissa.
Melissa Banks.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's her husband do?
Chris. Oh, he's a,
Occupational therapist.
yes.
At the hospital
No,
Or-
Chillicothe.
in Chillicothe? Okay. And
You looking for our other son?
well, I was looking for a bunch of others. Yeah, there's a bunch of pictures over there. See if I have any more time left on the tape.
This is our younger.
You got a picture of Mike?
Yeah, you got a picture.
No.
Who is that you're holding there?
This is Mike's son, our youngest grandson, Reese Brown.
Uh-huh.
He'll be 15 next
Okay.
month.
15, you say?
Uh-huh.
Okay, where does he go to school?
Out northwest.
All right, good. And I don't know, kind of get some. I don't have a battery anymore in here, so I kind of limited by. Up there on the shelf, who are those kids?
Well, these are old pictures.
Okay, that's a good idea. Turn that on.
I've got one of Mike in here, and he's both.
Got one of what?
Mike, our oldest son, here, and his boat.
His boat? Oh yeah, oh his boat. Okay. Wait a minute, let me draw back on that a little bit.
He was a school teacher.
Uh-huh.
He's retired.
Now, where is that boat and him there?
It's out in his yard right now.
Okay. Where does he live?
He lives on Sedan Crabtree Road.
Uh-huh. And what?
He was in the Vietnam War.
I wanted to ask if any of your boys have been in the service.
Yes,
Yeah,
he had a rough time.
In the service?
He earned a Silver Star.
Did he? Was he in the Navy?
No,
Marines.
Marines.
He was in the Marines.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Wonder if he'd ever want to talk to me. Sometimes they don't.
He was honored at Columbus, about a month ago?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
By the Marines?
Well, it was a,
Who was it?
What do they call it?
Some veterans organization?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I can't think, John. What do you call baseball? Hall of Fame. Veterans Hall of Fame. The highest
Oh, oh really? Okay. Yeah, guys like Paul Maple's in there. You know Paul Maple? He's up
Heard of him.
Wheelersburg. He's in that. Leo Blackburn.
Yeah.
Leo.
Blackburn.
Leo. I've got him on tape.
Yeah.
And okay, you're showing me something there. What is that?
It's a,
Oh, okay.
I don't really remember what.
This is his, isn't it? This
Yeah.
is Mike's.
Yes,
Okay.
That's Mike's.
Okay, let's just show that. And then, is this a picture or what is it?
No, he doesn't have a picture.
Resolution.
Oh, it's some of his, oh, this is what
That's what they give them
present-
up there.
Yes,
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah. That's good. And, now this is your son's, isn't it?
right.
Their oldest
Okay.
son.
Michael. Okay. Well, they honored him, didn't they? They sure did honor him. When you say that, it's true. Yeah. But I wonder if he would want to talk to me.
Well,
What do you think?
Well, I imagine he would.
Why don't you ask him? Now, sometimes, let me tell you, sometimes they don't.
I
Sometimes
know
they
he
don't.
wouldn't hardly talk about Vietnam at all until just
Recently?
recently.
Now, got another. Okay.
No, that,
That's from the go. Is he in the reserves or anything?
no.
I don't know where to put this.
Take it.
Okay, well, you tell him about me, or maybe you could show him what we've done, tell him what we've done. I'd like to
Okay.
talk to him. Well,
He thought it was nice that Dick was going to be interviewed, so.
He did.
Yes, he
probably
did,
would.
so he probably would.
How about Keith? Was he in the service?
No, he
Too young?
was in the RAF, or what is it? No,
He was in
ROTC.
He was in ROTC.
Taught
Yeah.
at Eastern College, Eastern Kentucky.
Didn't he get a commission then, or
Well,
Well, they quit.
he was in ROTC, and then when he graduated, he was supposed to go to training, and they cut him out.
Oh, is that right?
Financial problems.
Uh-huh.
And a year after he was teaching, they called him and wanted him to come back
Mm-hmm.
in the Air Force, and he decided not to go.
Oh, he didn't go. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. I'm going to shut us off now. We're done. Let me figure out how to do that. I got to learn how to do this each and every time